Hello, Star Wars Unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show. I am your host, Darth Tuba. Yes, I do have my own merch. Check out the description for any Darth Tuba merchandise available through TeePublic. But anyway, I digress. Here today with another unboxing, and this one is actually building on to our Fanhome R2D2, build your own R2D2 model project. For those who are just joining it, you can go back and look at some I think I have a playlist of it. You can go back and look at previous episodes. And I was able to get, I think I'm up to about 20 different volumes. And each volume comes with a small amount of pieces that you build a little bit of your R2 as you go. And until eventually you have a full-size R2. They say it usually takes about 2 years for you to complete it all. I've been at it for about a year, so I'm about halfway, although it doesn't look that way. So maybe it takes a little more than 2 years. I'm not 100% sure how many issues there are. I guess I know that you get them once a month. So if I'm up to issue 20, then it might actually be 2 years at this point. So maybe it takes more like 4 years. But they do send a lot in one shot. You don't just get one thing, although it might take a little bit of time. And this time there was actually an issue. I received an email from the company that apparently supply chain issues are still a thing. I thought that went the way of, COVID kind of no longer being a pandemic, although I know that there's an argument of even that happening being the truth. So whatever. So there was some supply chain issues with one of the things. So I'm gonna unbox this now. I'm gonna see what parts I have. I believe that they held back one of the issues. And when I say issues, they send you a magazine. It's a very small magazine. It's only a few pages, but it has a little bit of information about real world information about the making of Star Wars. And then you have some more, which by the way, I have been looking at making of Star Wars documentation, movie documentaries, people's stuff on YouTube for a long time, reading articles from Starlog magazine back in the day when Starlog was still a magazine, still a thing. But I have learned new things from this. So I appreciate that aspect of this whole project. And the back part of the magazine is the instructions for the pieces that you have in that moment. So let's take a look at what we have here. So it looks as though we have parts for 17, 18, 19. Looks like 17, 18, and 19. Build up U.S. Magazine. Interesting. All right, let me see exactly what this means. All right, so here's parts for 17. Looks like we got some wiring and another part of the dome. It's funny, the way they build the dome is they start from the top and then they kind of worked your way down. So now this kind of is the bottom part of the dome. Here's 18. Looks like some more parts of the dome along with some of it looks like the holographic projector piece and some wiring. So this is an electronic device model that will work, light up and everything. Oh, and it looks like we have another R2D2 leg side. Okay. Don't know if there's anything else other than that to it. Okay. Now in addition to this, it comes with issue 17. Right? It's so funny. They all have the R2 on it. Here's 17, here's 18, and here's 19. Okay? I do believe that there was supposed to be an issue 20, and that's the issue that had an issue with the oh my, how funny is this? I'll explain this to you in a minute. The issues, there was something wrong with the supply chain or something didn't get delivered right, and I was getting all these emails, and then it seemed to work out, but it was only for the first chunk of it. And I'm apparently I just received an email at the same day of this recording that has been resolved, and they're going to be sending out the next shipment. So I may have another small short episode to do. I usually do all these together. I'll put the camera on high speed in a few moments and we'll do that. They also have a premium offer. You have the ability to upgrade to, I think it's like for $1.25 extra per stage. Remember, you pay an amount per stage and they send you pieces of the model. Well, they say if you upgrade, you can get a little, upgrade your subscription to the premium offer, and you will also receive 6 high-quality resin busts of your favorite Star Wars characters to complement your modeling experience. These busts will be delivered throughout your description. I don't know how big these are. I'll be honest, I I did get this offer before. I am choosing not to. Again, I have been being a lot more picky with what I collect and what I don't collect. And this is just something that I've actually, I'm imagining that these might be the really small bust-ups, little ones that Gentle Giant put out, or a company like Gentle Giant. And maybe they're mini busts are like this big. I've since gotten rid of all of them. I've sold them off. I don't really want to keep them. Next we have another set, another little sleeve for you to put your magazines in. I have a sleeve right here. It's just off camera with all the other ones, and look, it looks like they have two sleeves. So that's cool. So that makes it easier. I'm just going to kind of tuck these here. I don't really need them just yet. Things are fine as they are. All right, so it looks like that's it. So apparently there might have been some issues with some of that, so we're going to have to kind of get to work on that. All right, so I have all the stuff behind the camera. I have my whole art. You are going to need to keep track of all of your other ones. I will say that the only scary part about doing this is that the screws, they say that all you need, they say, is a screwdriver that they provide to make this whole thing happen. But then I'm starting to hear things about gluing and this and that. So I don't know. We'll see. I have some cement glue, some gluing cement if I need it. I have my epoxy here if I need it. A couple of other little tools if I need it. So let me set the camera down and on high speed, and we'll see how we do. Okay, so that concludes our next three steps. We did end up with a much more completed dome. Take it off a little stand here, and you can see that we are almost all the way around. I'm guessing that the next issue will either complete it or almost complete it. It looks like, based on the other pieces of plastic, that we probably have 2 more issues to finish these off. And then, of course, there will be coverings and things of that nature. So, it's obviously starting to look a lot like it. It's interesting how different model designers model pieces like this. Like in making a life-size R2, nowadays everyone's 3D printing it, which I find interesting because they're just 3D printing it and like kind of putting it together as if this is just giant puzzle piece with all these little pieces, and they just kind of all come together, and with a little epoxy, whew, there you have the full dome. A life-size dome. When I made mine about 14 years ago, I think is when I started it. I actually had a run done there was people doing aluminum runs, and they would make a dome out of aluminum. But they'd make, they'd use it to get the machinery right and to keep the cost down. They would do a run, and they would do they would take orders. And I didn't even take part in a run. I missed it. But because one of the domes came back slightly damaged, it was like a little bit of a thing, had a little bit of a tinge on the bottom where it bent a little bit. Very easily, a pair of pliers would have set it back. But I was able to buy that for a discount, and it had the whole thing, and it kind of looked like this, only it was fully covered. It was just, imagine an entire silver dome made of like an aluminum, but a hard aluminum, pretty thick aluminum, and then all of these pieces here were just kind of traced out. And they were held on by like one little piece. So you would take like a file or something and saw away at all those pieces, and then you would be able to put them back on. It was very interesting how they did it. So now it's so much different. This is kind of closer to what people are doing. They're just building them piece by piece. Woo, it's like a carousel. Yeah, okay. That also came with these 2 sets of wiring that have not been used yet. So you just hold on to them, and you place them kind of in my box here that has all of the other pieces. I also have some smaller, tiny pieces here, and the most important, the coveted little container of screws. You have to be very, very careful not to lose them. We also had our mic. I thought this was a holographic camera, but instead this is really more of a microphone, And then they do have it pre-wired and everything. You don't have to create it out of scratch. Scratch build the microphone, but they include the microphone, the piece to push it through, and some of the pieces that you need to use are pieces from previous orders. So you have to make sure you keep track of everything. Don't throw anything away. It's not one of those things where, I have extra pieces, I must be doing something wrong, or it's okay. So no, you need all the pieces. Save them for later. And then lastly, we have gotten the other foot. If you look back at an earlier episode, this already happened. We already had a foot like this. Although I shouldn't say a foot, it was more of a top foot. It was like the other side of this. So this is the other bottom half. So I guess eventually I'll get a whole other one of these, and the whole other ones are the ones up here. So overall, pretty easy. I really like, this is a great model build for beginners and for people who aren't engineering minded like me. So it's always a great thing. I think this was like a product of something to do during the COVID lockdown years, and they've just kind of taken it there. And I know you can do things like, I think you can make a DeLorean, a Batmobile. I think there might be a Ghostbusters Ecto-1 in there too. All sorts of things. It is expensive, but you're paying for it a little bit at a time. You're paying for basically you're buying the individual pieces of the model, for dollars and instead of tens or hundreds or thousands of dollars. But in the end, when you're done with it, you probably would have ended up paying that. So it's up to you. Some people would prefer just to get the piece already done and pay the $200, $300, $400, $500, $800, $900, depending on the piece you're buying, for it up front. So that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, may the Force and the toys and the models and all the collectibles that make Star Wars great be with you.